Hey guys, I'm Stephen Leone. Lucky that Chuck had me out here to shoot some pipe videos. I'm an instructor at Georgia Trade School. It's located in Kennesaw, Georgia. We teach everything from thin gauge metal to structural steel all the way up to pipe and heavy wall pipe. So hopefully I'm going to give you guys a good idea today on how to run effectively a route on schedule 40 with a 1-stringer hot pass and then a 3-stringer cap. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so first things first, go ahead and watch the 2G video on schedule 40 or schedule 80. We're talking about our tacks, how to run them, how to feather them out. So watch that video first before you watch this, but we're going to jump right in for those of you that have watched that video already. So the first thing I'm going to do, I feel the most comfortable way to do this is to hike your right foot out for us right-handers and get positioned up underneath this and roll all the way up. So again, I'm going to hike my line of sight down here and I'm going to roll all the way up. Now, of course, another easier way to do this is to get on your knees. This is the super easy way. Get on your knees and run this section from the bottom. All right? So, for those of us that want the easiest way, 2 knees on the ground, prop your arm up here, strike your rod, heat up your tack, and move all the way up. Now, I want to make note of something real quick. One thing that's very important is how you, this is very specific to 6G, it's how you roll your wrist. So if the camera can get a shot of this, as I start from the bottom, I'm starting really far out with a new rod. As that rod gets shorter, if I continue the same angle, I'm going to shoot off the pipe. So, I'll show you here with another rod. If I keep this angle straight in, I'm going to shoot off the edge of the pipe. So what I want to do to counter that, some people can hold their rod, but if you like to hold both hands on the stinger, what you want to do is you want to roll your wrist with the pipe. See how I'm rolling my wrist? Now when we get to that top section, if we were to run this in all one pass, what that's going to look like is I start down here at 6, I'm rolling my wrist to stay perpendicular with that pipe, and as I come up to the top, I don't want to push that weld, I want to stay straight in and I want to continue to roll my wrist. So your dominant hand, whether you're left or you're right-handed, you always want to pay attention to how you're rolling that wrist, keeping that heat straight in and in the affected zone so you're not heating up where you're traveling to. Alright guys, just want to mention something real quick. Take the glass off so I can see this. When you're finished with your route on any of these pipe videos, you'll see that we've ground all the roots out, and even on some of the downhills that Joel has done, we have ground out the hot pass as well, preparing for the cap. Now you're going to have a lot of old schoolers tell you, like I've said in the other videos, that grinding out your roots shouldn't have to do that. Well, these are instructional videos and we don't claim to be the best of the best, but this is simply to get you started until you're able to lay that root in there. Now there are still people in the field that still grind their roots out so that their hot pass or their intermediate passes can lay flush in there. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're a crappy welder or a bad welder just because you use a grinder. In some cases you'll have to use a grinder. But I just wanted to point that out. When we put that grinder in there and we take the root down and crisp those edges up again, if we've shot our arc in there, it just allows for a really easy hot flush hot pass that doesn't trap any slag. So that's just a little tip to get you guys started when you're running these out and you're trying to test for a place and get really proficient at it. So we're about to run this hot pass. Angle's going to stay the same. I'm probably going to do a 3/32 hot pass and maybe even a 3/32 cap. Going to stay around the 75 to 85 range. That's totally up to you, but that's definitely the range you want to stay in. Another thing I want to mention, whether you do this with an 1/8 or a 3/32, as we've mentioned in the previous videos, the 3/32 are going to run a lot easier. They're more user-friendly. The 1/8 on Schedule 40 is going to deposit a lot of metal and sometimes drip out on you at 115 or 120 amps. So what I do, a little trick Elaine taught me, I put my finger over this rod just to hold it steady. Because if you notice the end of this rod, if the camera can get that in there, that's me trying to hold this as still as I possibly can. So when I put my finger on that, it's going to reduce that shake slightly when you go to weld. So as the rod gets hot and you start to come up, just about that time it's short enough to where it's not shaking anymore. So all that is just to steady your hand a little bit. All right? Now something I want to talk about real quick. On this hot pass, you kind of want to have a slight oscillation as you're welding the hot pass out. And the only thing that that's for, what that allows you to do is not trap slag on the sides. So a couple people, we'll show on the side of this pipe here, a couple people do what's called a horseshoe motion as they move it. And what that looks like is just a bunch of small C's, okay? Only thing that I do to make it really easy on myself and the students that I teach is all I do is I oscillate the puddle up and down like this. So you're going to get the same amount of coverage, and it's a lot more user-friendly for the beginner than actually focusing on yourself doing a bunch of circle C's. So you just oscillate the puddle from side to side, and as we chip the slag here and show you, it's going to give you the ability to not trap that slag on the sides of the bevel. Now hopefully we can get a clean shot on that. Minimal to no trap slag on the side. Again, I don't claim to be an expert at this, but you know, hopefully I can get you guys going on some stuff here. What you want to look for is that there's no trap slag on the sides, and that comes from that oscillation. Obviously, when we go to put the cap on, we'll try to clean it up a little bit, but that's really what you're looking for in a root and a hot pass. Anyways, I'm going to show you guys some bead placement here on the cap. So as I come around this pipe, when I get up to the top, we'll just work right here. I want a little bit of my weld hanging out there on the edge, okay? Then I want my second weld rather, sitting right in the center, and then I want my final hot pass on the top. So I don't know if the camera can get that, maybe I'll do it a little bit up here, but what I want is that first weld to come a little bit outside the bevel, and that might be a little exaggerated, but this is strictly for bead placement. Then I want my second one right there in the center, and then my third one out here on the top. So first, second, third. Hopefully if you keep those things tight with a 3/32 rod or an 1/8 rod, that's going to give you a nice flush sealed off cap, ready for x-ray or ready for a bend. Ready. Alright guys, so first thing I'm going to focus on when I do my cap is comfortability with your prop and line of sight. I'm telling my students on a regular basis when they're showing me pipe coupons, are you comfortable and can you see what you're doing? Those are the two biggest things next to fit up and heat of your machine. If you can't see what you're doing, don't just flip your hood down and wing it. You know, I've been welding for a couple of years. I don't claim to know everything, but one rule I've always tried to follow is, am I comfortable and can I see it? Obviously, when you're out in the real world, you got to do what you got to do. But to get that job, to get in the real world, you've got to pass this test, and you want to use every tool at your disposal. If you want to hike your arm up here, you want to do that. If you don't feel comfortable standing up and running the bottom of this side, get down on your knees. Run it from the bottom. Put your rod or put your finger in the center of your rod and hold it and guide it up. Stop, stand up and tie in there. You got to pass this test before you get a pipe job, just like with any other job. So get comfortable, and pay attention to whether or not you can see your line of travel or not. So we're about to run this cap. As earlier I mentioned, it's a 3-stringer cap. So we're going to go ahead and get started and consume that first edge of the bevel. Couple things I want to mention real quick. As you can tell, that's the first pass I've been able to burn the whole rod from the bottom to around 9:30, 10 o'clock-ish, 9:30. You want to get comfortable, like I always say, but if you're not running that route, you're not going to have to quarter it. So if you can get to a position where you do a dry run, another thing that's a huge thing I want to mention is do yourself a favor and get you a dry run. And what that is you're going to take the rod, you know, obviously with the machine turned off or imagining that you're holding the stinger, what you want to do is get comfortable running that rod all the way up. So this would not be a good position for me. As you see, I'm comfortable when I start, but as that rod gets shorter, my left hand's going to block my line of sight. So I'm going to drop my arm down here and try this. Now as I roll up, I see that the only thing that might prohibit me is this piece of angle. And as you'll see in that action shot, I pushed myself off my elbow and I leaned back. So essentially what I'm saying is, get yourself comfortable, do a dry run, hike that rod all the way short so you show yourself, all right, I can finish this whole weld with a short rod, then I can definitely finish it with a long rod. All right guys, this next stringer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I move fast enough that I don't eclipse the edge of the bevel. That's where my last weld goes. So tie into that top toe on that first stringer. You'll see that my bead placement is very tight and I've left just that crisp edge to cap. Now again, if you're doing this with 1/8 rods, people think they run easier because the 3/32 doesn't bounce, but if you want a really, really tight cap with maybe not necessarily the most aesthetic welds, but an easier rod to run, you want to go ahead and grab for that 3/32. Again, the 1/8 on Schedule 40, it's not typically used for, in this category, Schedule 40 would be a thinner wall pipe. Now if this was Schedule 80, yeah, we'd probably want to grab some 1/8 rods, but in this case 3/32 is going to be our best bet, most user friendly. So now as you see, I've got that crisp edge. I'm going to go ahead and lay that last stringer on that cap right now. Got a little bit of droopage, but you know, essentially what we're looking for, guys, here is we're looking to be able to see those 3 welds, not super far outside the bevel, and no more than 1/8 of an inch in height. So we're tied in, we have no undercut, a little bit of slag we could scrape off and maybe some flux smoke, but for the most part, you know, again, don't claim to be the best of the best, just trying to get you guys going. Push that root in, watch the videos before to see what landing size we run and how we run tacks and such. Run your root, run your hot pass and a 3-stringer cap, and hopefully you're on your way to getting yourself a pipe job.